Have you ever really stopped to think about how many cameras are around us? Not just, the official ones, but citizen cameras. People pointing their phones at public officials, especially police. Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. How artificial intelligence is, well, fundamentally changing the game for citizen oversight of law enforcement. Our main source for this is a really interesting paper, AI Impact on copwatching.pdf. It digs into this evolving dynamic between the public and the government, specifically law enforcement, all seen through the lens of these recordings.
Right, and our mission today really is to unpack how AI is boosting what citizen watchdogs can do. But crucially, it also brings in this whole new set of complex tech, legal, and ethical issues. It's creating what you might call a new algorithmic watchdog.
Okay, so to get us started, let's focus on two main kinds of citizen activity here. First Amendment audits and the more familiar cop watching. Let's break those down. First Amendment audits. What are these exactly? Well, it's a very specific thing. People go into public government spaces, think town halls, libraries, police station lobbies, and they film public employees. The whole point is to sort of test if their First Amendment right to film is respected. It's like a pass-fail test, right? If nobody bothers them, it's a pass. But if officials try to stop them or ask for ID without a good reason or, call the cops, that's a fail.
Exactly. And then you have cop watching, which is broader and honestly has a longer history. It's more about monitoring police interactions with people out on the street. You have groups like Cop Watch started way back in 1990 in Berkeley who do organized patrols. They observe, they document. The idea is that just being watched discourages misconduct. And they often do more, too, like community workshops, know your rights stuff, helping victims.
Okay, so there's a key difference then.
Oh, definitely. Cop watching is generally aiming for, let's say, systemic accountability. It's about sustained observation, documenting policing as it happens. First Amendment audits, on the other hand, are often these distinct tests focused on one official, one interaction. And sometimes, they can get pretty confrontational.
Right. And I read something interesting in the source about a subset of these auditors maybe being motivated differently, like by money, provoking reactions to get viral videos on YouTube.
Yeah, that's attention. Some seem geared towards generating that kind of online content, which, brings in views, maybe donations.
Does that complicate things legally if it looks less like news gathering and more like, commercial provocation?
It's definitely a factor courts might consider. But the fundamental legal basis for both activities is pretty solid. It's the right to record public officials performing their duties in public spaces. It's not explicitly written in the Constitution, sure, but federal courts have consistently said it's a core part of the First Amendment's protection of speech and the press. The Glick v. Cunniff case is a big one there. And crucially, you don't need press credentials. It's a right for everyone.
Okay, a fundamental right. But I'm guessing it's not unlimited. There have to be some restrictions.
Oh, absolutely. It's subject to what are called reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. You can't, interfere with police work or create a safety hazard or trespass where you're not allowed. And this is the important part, police can't just tell you to stop filming simply because they are being recorded. That's generally not allowed.
Got it. So that sets the stage for where AI comes in. Smartphones already changed things massively, right? Anyone could record. George Floyd's murder, captured by a bystander, that showed the power.
Exactly. That was the first wave, democratizing the recording itself.
But now AI feels like a second wave, something even more radical.
That's a good way to put it. It moves us beyond just making the recording. Now we're talking about sophisticated analysis in real time or across huge amounts of data. It gives citizen watchdogs this unprecedented toolkit. But it also kicks off this sort of tech arms race with law enforcement, raises privacy issues, and creates real headaches for the legal system about evidence. We're entering the era of the algorithmic watchdog.
Okay, let's unpack that AI transformation. Starting with AI as an in-the-moment tool, what does that actually look like for someone filming an interaction?
Right, the immediate impact is pretty game-changing. It's about processing while it happens. So first, think real-time transcription. You can use speech-text services APIs from Google, OpenAI, others to get a live transcript scrolling on your screen as people talk.
Wow, okay, so not just audio, but the actual words instantly.
Exactly. An immediate, searchable text record, which helps overcome, faulty memory later on. Then, building on that, you have automated keyword spotting. AI can listen for specific, legally important phrases.
Like what?
Things like "stop resisting" or "I want my lawyer." The app could flag that moment in the recording, maybe timestamp it, alert the user, focus his attention right where it's needed. And third, on-device object recognition. Your phone's processor is powerful enough now to run computer vision models locally,
Yeah.
meaning the AI can identify objects in the video feed without sending it to the cloud. It could log if it sees a firearm, a taser, maybe even an officer putting their hand on their weapon.
Yeah.
Creates objective data points, timestamped.
So this really changes the role of the person recording, doesn't it? From just a witness to more like a data collector, a data-driven chronicler, as the source puts it.
Precisely. It's not just, I saw this, here's the transcript, here's when keywords were spoken, here's when an object appeared. It's turning ephemeral events into structured, potentially verifiable data almost instantly.
That quantitative aspect feels new. It's not just surveillance watching from below, it's quantitative surveillance, instant data.
And the analysis doesn't stop when the recording ends. That's where the automated evidence lab comes in, post-incident.
Okay, what happens then?
Well, first, video summarization and event logging. Going through hours of footage is tedious and time-consuming. AI tools can automatically create short summaries, timelines, flag key events, makes oversight much more scalable for activists or small legal teams.
That alone sounds incredibly useful.
It is. Then there's sentiment and behavioral analysis. Using natural language processing NLP AI models can analyze the transcripts.
To do what? Measure the mood?
Sort of, yeah. Quantify the emotional tone. Track if it shifts from, say, neutral to hostile. Identify politeness or disrespect. Basically, provide data on the interaction's tone, and professionalism was their de-escalation or verbal aggression.
Objectifying something usually very subjective.
Exactly. And finally, automated data extraction with computer vision. Algorithm can pull out key identifiers automatically. Officer identification using OCR optical character recognition to read name tags or badge numbers from the video. Vehicle identification using ALPR tech. Automatic license plate recognition, but maybe adapted to grab patrol car numbers or unit IDs.
Right.
And crucially, metadata extraction. Forensic tools can pull the time, date, GPS coordinates, even the phone model used. All vital for authenticating the video as evidence later.
So what's the big picture here for you listening? It sounds like these AI tools really democratize the process of discovery.
That's the key takeaway.
Think about it normally. Analyzing footage like this takes huge resources. Legal teams, paralegals, transcribing, experts searching. Now, a single activist with a smartphone app could potentially do a first-pass analysis, get a transcript, a summary, sentiment flags, maybe spot inconsistencies very quickly.
It lowers the barrier significantly. It could mean more potentially viable cases challenging police conduct actually get looked at because the initial evidence analysis is just much more accessible.
Okay, so analyzing single incidents gets easier, faster, maybe more objective. But you mentioned something bigger, systemic patterns.
Yes, and this is arguably where AI's potential is most revolutionary for citizen oversight. It's the ability to aggregate data from many incidents, from many sources, and analyze it at scale, moving beyond the bad apple focus to potentially identifying bad orchards, as the saying goes, seeing the forest, not just the trees.
How would that work in practice, this idea of building the people's database?
Imagine a central, maybe decentralized public archive. Activists everywhere upload their videos. It becomes this massive data set.
Okay.
Then AI goes to work processing it all, transcribing audio, identifying objects, faces, extracting officer IDs, locations, analyzing sentiment, making this huge collection searchable.
Like Google Photos, but for police interactions.
Kind of, yeah. A searchable, analyzable counter-archive of police conduct, built from the ground up by citizens. It's similar in spirit to projects that have used AI to make official police misconduct records public and searchable.
And once you have that database, what patterns can AI find?
Well, a big one is longitudinal officer tracking. One of the challenges in accountability is tracking an officer's behavior over their whole career, especially across different assignments or even departments. Official systems are often opaque. But if this public database consistently extracts officer IDs from videos over years, you can build an independent public record. You could identify officers who seem to be disproportionately involved in, say, escalatory encounters or use of force incidents.
An alternative to the internal early warning systems police departments might have.
Potentially a public check on them, yes. And beyond individual officers, you get departmental trend analysis. By analyzing thousands of videos from one city or precinct, AI could help answer bigger questions. Does use of force vary by race or neighborhood? Do certain units consistently fail to de-escalate? It allows for systemic analysis, parallel to whatever the department itself might claim.
Which leads to this fascinating idea, geospatial and predictive accountability, basically using maps.
Exactly. Pull the GPS data from the videos. Plot the interactions on a map using GIS tools.
And you get hotspots.
Yes, but not crime hotspots. Hotspots are contentious police-citizen interactions. Where are these filmed encounters happening most often? Where are the high aggression sentiment scores clustering?
So it's like reversing the gaze, as the source calls it.
Precisely. Traditional predictive policing uses historical, often biased arrest data to predict where civilian crime might happen. Then they send patrols there, potentially creating feedback loops. This citizen-led model flips it. The input isn't arrest data, it's video data analyzed by AI locations, officer IDs, sentiment scores, use of force indicators. The output predicts where problematic police behavior might be more likely.
So you could use that to, what, deploy cop watchers more strategically, issue community warnings?
Exactly, or provide data for lawsuits arguing a pattern of misconduct in certain areas. It uses the logic of prediction, but turns it back onto the state agents themselves, a powerful accountability concept.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful for citizen oversight, but there's always a but. What about the other side? Law enforcement isn't standing still, right? The AI arms race.
Absolutely not. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Police departments, who generally have vastly more resources and legal authority, are adopting very similar and often more powerful AI tools themselves. It creates this escalating dynamic, an AI arms race, where the state often has inherent advantages.
So they're mirroring the toolkit, but with more firepower. Like what?
Well, for instance, automated body-worn camera, BWC analysis. They're using AI systems. Trulio is one name mentioned to automatically transcribe BWC audio and flag interactions. They might be looking for policy violations, or maybe even good conduct for training.
So AI analyzing their own footage internally.
Right. Then there's large-scale video analytics and surveillance. They're integrating AI with huge networks of cameras, public CCTV, maybe private cameras they get access to.
Doing what?
Real-time analysis. Detecting objects, like weapons. Detecting certain behaviors, like someone entering a restricted zone. It acts as a huge force multiplier for surveillance.
And the big one, facial recognition.
Yes, facial recognition and identity tracking. Law enforcement uses AI to scan faces in crowds, maybe at protests, and compare them against watch list databases, identifying people engaged in First Amendment activities, which directly counters activist anonymity.
So it really is an arms race. Activists try to ID officers.
And police use AI to ID activists.
Activists track officer histories.
And the state fuses data from license plate readers, social media monitoring, CCTV, all sorts of sources to track activists or persons of interest.
It feels asymmetrical.
It is profoundly asymmetrical. The state has access to foundational data sets, DMV photos, criminal records that activists don't. They have more money, more computing power, and the legal authority to compel data access in many cases. The activists' power often lies less in matching the tech scale and more in using their tools to create those high-impact, data-rich events, the videos, the analysis that can sway courts or public opinion.
Okay, let's break down this dynamic with specific AI tools. How are they used differently? Let's start with facial and object recognition.
Okay, activists use it after an incident, usually, to try and identify an officer or vehicle from their recording. Law enforcement, though, can use it in real time to identify protesters or others in a crowd.
Which raises huge privacy and First Amendment issues, right? Chilling effects on protests. Plus, we know these systems can have biases.
Documented biases, especially against women and people of color, yes. Huge concerns there.
Okay, what about sentiment and behavioral analysis?
Again, activists use it post-incident on their own recordings, analyzing officer language for professionalism, de-escalation, etc. Law enforcement uses it on their own massive BWC data sets for internal compliance reviews.
What are the issues there?
Due process, mainly.
Yeah.
Can an officer be disciplined based on an algorithm's score? Do they have the right to confront their algorithmic accuser? How transparent and unbiased are these internal police AI models? Big questions.
Then predictive hotspot mapping. We talked about this. Activists mapping police encounters.
Right, predictive accountability. While law enforcement uses it for traditional predictive policing, forecasting civilian crime hotspots.
And the concern there is?
Algorithmic bias baked into the historical data they use, leading to potentially discriminatory resource allocation and reinforcing existing biases. Equal protection issues.
Large-scale video databases. Activists building public counter archives.
Versus the state building its own massive, centralized surveillance archives from BWC, CCTV, etc.
And the problem is?
Mass privacy implications. Collecting and storing footage of countless innocent people. Data security risks. the potential for misuse.
And finally, deepfake technology. This feels different.
It is. For activists, it's mostly a defensive worry. How do I prove my video is real if someone claims it's a deepfake? Authentication. For law enforcement or those opposing activists, it can be used offensively, not necessarily by making deepfakes, but by leveraging the idea of deepfakes to cast doubt on authentic videos. The liar's dividend.
So even if the video is real, the mere possibility it could be fake is used to undermine it.
Exactly. It threatens trust in all digital evidence.
So it's clear the same tech serves very different ends depending on who's using it, their power, their goals.
Absolutely. For activists, it's often about targeted transparency and accountability. For the state, it can be about broad control, identification, and management.
Which brings us squarely to the legal system. How is all this AI-generated evidence actually playing out in court? The algorithmic gavel, as we're calling it.
Well, the biggest hurdle is what's being termed the authentication crisis.
Meaning?
Under the rules of evidence, like Federal Rule 901, you have to prove evidence is what you say it is. Authenticate it. For a photo, usually someone testifies, yes, I took this, it's a fair depiction.
Okay.
But what about an AI sentiment report? Or an AI-generated video summary? That's not raw data. It's the output of a complex, often black box, algorithm. No human can really testify to how the AI reached that specific conclusion.
So who vouches for it?
That's the problem. It puts this evidence in a kind of legal limbo. Courts are starting to grapple with this, requiring special pretrial hearings. There were proposals for new evidence rules, like maybe a new Rule 707, specifically for AI. These might require the side introducing the AI evidence to meet rigorous standards, prove the AI uses reliable methods, disclose its error rates, show it was applied correctly in this case.
Yeah.
That's a high bar, especially for off-the-shelf commercial AI tools.
A high bar, and then you have the deepfake problem again, the dual threat.
Right. Threat one is obvious. Someone creates a fake video or audio clip to frame someone or distort events. Malicious deepfakes use as false evidence. Detecting those takes sophisticated digital forensics.
Okay, that's the direct threat. What's the second?
The second, arguably more insidious threat, is the liar's dividend. This is where someone challenges real video evidence by simply suggesting it might be a deepfake.
Exploiting public awareness that the tech exists.
Exactly. To sow doubt, muddy the waters, even if there's no actual evidence of fakery.
Is there an example of this happening?
Yes, the source points to the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. The defense objected when the prosecution tried to zoom in on a video that was already admitted into evidence.
Oh, on what grounds?
They claimed, without providing expert testimony, that Apple's pinch-to-zoom function uses AI that might manipulate the pixels when enlarging the image.
Seriously? Pinch to zoom?
Yes. And the judge, lacking expert guidance to refute it on the spot, actually sustained the objection initially. It highlights the problem. The mere suggestion of AI manipulation, even for a common feature, shifted the burden. Suddenly, the prosecution might have needed an expert to prove the zoomed image was still accurate. For activists or others with limited resources, facing that kind of challenge, having to hire expensive experts just to prove their real video is real, could be impossible.
It's early.
It potentially neutralizes perfectly good evidence.
That's quite a challenge. Okay, one last major implication. Privacy. All this recording, analysis, database building. What does it mean for just regular people? Privacy in the panopticon.
Yeah, this is huge. Whether it's activists filming or the state conducting surveillance, you're inevitably capturing vast numbers of ordinary citizens who aren't involved, often during vulnerable moments, accidents, arguments, health issues.
And storing it.
Storing it, potentially analyzing it, maybe with facial recognition. It creates the possibility of this permanent, searchable record of public life. A digital panopticon where everyone knows they might be recorded and indexed at any time.
Which could have a chilling effect.
A significant chilling effect on free speech, on assembly, on protest. People might hesitate to go to a rally or even just be in public spaces if they fear becoming a permanent data point in someone's database, whether it's an activist archive or a state surveillance system. The quest for accountability could inadvertently lead to less privacy and freedom for everyone.
So wrapping this up, it really feels like AI is a classic double-edged sword here.
Absolutely. On one hand, it offers unprecedented tools for transparency, for citizen oversight, for potentially holding power accountable in new ways. But on the other hand, it risks escalating surveillance, eroding privacy, and even destabilizing our trust in evidence itself. Navigating this is going to be tricky.
So what are the practical takeaways? For activists using these tools, what's the advice?
Okay, 3 key things. First, Prioritize data integrity. Be meticulous. Keep a clear chain of custody for your recordings. Use apps, if you can, that embed verifiable metadata, cryptographic hashes, secure timestamps, GPS, and archive the original unaltered files safely. Proof of authenticity is paramount. Second, try to embrace glass box AI. Whenever possible, use AI tools where you understand how they work, where the process is transparent, not a complete black box. Document everything. The specific AI model, the software version, the settings you used. You need to be able to explain how you got your results if challenged. And third, use AI as an investigative tool, not the final arbiter. Think of AI outputs like sentiment scores or summaries as pointers, as ways to guide human review. Use them to highlight key moments in the footage for a judge, a jury, or the public to look at themselves. Don't present the AI score as a definitive truth. Present it as a lead for human judgment.
Okay, that's for activists. What about the legal system, policymakers?
They have homework too. First, develop new evidentiary standards. We urgently need clear rules for handling AI-generated evidence. Things like the proposed updates to FRE 901 or a new FRE 707, requiring disclosure of AI methodology, training data, error rates. We need ways to scrutinize this evidence properly. Second, address the liar's dividend. We need frameworks to handle challenges to authenticity. Maybe the burden shifts. The party claiming deepfake has to first show some reasonable good faith basis for that claim before the burden falls on the person with the video to hire experts to prove it's real. Baseless speculation shouldn't derail justice. And finally, enact robust privacy and surveillance laws. We need comprehensive laws setting clear limits on how data about people in public spaces is collected, processed, used, and stored, especially when combined with powerful tech like facial recognition. Clear guardrails are essential.
It really sounds like this new era demands something more from all of us, doesn't it? A deeper kind of literacy.
I think so. Digital literacy, statistical literacy, understanding not just what a video shows, but how it was analyzed.
Yeah, because the future fights over accountability won't just be about the facts on the screen. They'll be fought over the algorithms themselves, the methodologies, the error rates, the biases baked into the code used to interpret those facts.
It points towards a need for what some are starting to call algorithmic due process. Fair procedures not just for people, but for the algorithms shaping how we see reality.
A lot to think about. This technological shift is definitely reshaping more than just surveillance. It's reshaping accountability itself.